I mentioned it a couple weeks ago. Chris Brockman and I started dancing around the subject about 3 weeks ago on Overreaction Monday podcast, which we're going to record as soon as this show's over and put in your podcast eargate and on our YouTube page. The Buffalo Bills, do not let them into the playoffs. Do not let them in the tournament. Don't do it. Because they are playing like the best team in the American Football Conference. We've seen it ever since they made that move with Ken Dorsey out, Joe Brady in the offensive coordinator position. And at the time, we were all saying, and I believe rightfully so, Marshall Faulk said it on What the Football with Susie and Amy, that Sean McDermott was running out of people to just throw to the, meat grinder to keep switching things out and maybe save his own skin in Western New York. Swapped out defensive coordinators, took on the defensive play calling this year. Leslie Frazier's walking around NFL Network while Sean McDermott is fully in charge of that side of the ball that made him a head coach. And then Ken Dorsey out, Joe Brady in. And you started seeing some changes. But the first game was against the Jets. Okay, let's throw that one out because that's the way the Jets were playing and have been playing most of the year. Then after that, the Buffalo Bills, after dismantling the Jets, what did they wind up doing? They went into Philadelphia and took the Eagles into overtime and should have won the game. Gabe Davis goes one way. Josh Allen throws another. And then Jalen Hurts takes the ball down the field after the Bills settle for a field goal, score a touchdown. But the Bills look different. They looked like the Bills teams that we've been seeing making the playoffs. And then the Bills went into Kansas City. Say what you will, folks. Kadarius Toney lined up offsides, and the Bills still had time left on the clock to potentially win that game anyway, and it was more than 13 seconds, all right? And then what they did yesterday was eviscerate the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, take the hottest team in the NFL and take that 5-game win streak and not just snap it. I mean, break it up into kindling and lighting a bonfire outside of Highmark Stadium, and then pulled up a van and then jumped on a table and took that out too and threw that on the fire. And this kid, James Cook, I had a very, very long New Year's Eve a couple of Orange Bowls ago when he and Georgia took apart the Michigan Wolverines. And I saw this kid for Georgia, and I'm like, he's unbelievable, electric. And what he has done since Joe Brady took over. I'm wondering if Ken Dorsey's sitting at home right now saying, maybe I should have dialed up number 4 a little bit more. Because Joe Brady is dialing up 4 and dialing up 4. And at one point, he came out of the game yesterday, and Greg Olson's like, they're giving him a blow. But don't worry, he's going to be back on that field in 2 seconds because Greg Olson is seeing what we're all seeing. That kid is a difference maker, and that kid is the one who's taken the pressure off of Josh Allen more than anything else. That kid on the screen. He is unbelievable. And what's happened since Joe Brady started dialing up is he's turned James Cook into Christian McCaffrey. Run it, throw it. He's not guardable, and he's unstoppable when you block it up properly. Buffalo had 266 rushing yards yesterday. James Cook had 179 of them, most since Fred Jackson in 2009. And they possessed the ball 10 minutes longer than the Cowboys. 4 out of their first 5 drives in the game lasted longer than 4.5 minutes. So they're chewing it up and spitting you out right now. They had 28 first downs. 28 first downs. 20 of them rushing it. That's the second most in team history and the most since 96. That's what the Bills are doing right now, and they didn't look anything like this team when I saw them in London, when they lost to Jacksonville back in Week 5. They didn't look anything like it when they were going in that win streak in the beginning part of the season. They were boat racing people. It was all Josh Allen. And the Josh Allen that steals your soul and comes for you has arrived back again in the NFL. You can't put him on the ground. And guess what? You didn't need to yesterday because he didn't do a damn thing with his arm, it felt like. He even was sheepish about it after the game, saying this about his passing day.
Just get it done. Let's just find a way to win. And, felt like the kid that didn't do anything in the class project but got an A. But again, I'll do this 10 times out of 10 times, man. Just keep going.
TJ, if I told you going into that game, Allen would be 7 of 15 for 94 yards and just one score, you'd have said what?
I'd have said, for one thing, I'm winning my fantasy matchup because the guy I'm playing had him. And
okay.
two, the Cowboys are going to stomp the Bills.
Correct. And it was the exact opposite. It's so fitting that in Buffalo, they play that freight train whistle all the time. Well, when it's third down, right? They play that freight train because when and it kind of it's like a stampede. Like their logo matches the freight train's coming, and you better get out of the way because they are coming, and they build steam on the tracks and keep it going. And the most incredible thing about it, and you got to give the flowers to McDermott, is this defense. I watched Matt Milano get carted off the field in Tottenham, and that was after Trey White went down for the season the week before. And then they didn't have A.J. Epinesa, who had a triple crown play, a trifecta, when I called that game in London, where he picked one off. He picked one off. He also caused this sack fumble and then recovery. Yeah. Right. And Micah Hyde wasn't there either. And what they did to the Dallas Cowboys offense, which was, again, red hot as you can get. They had, again, 266 rush yards, as I mentioned. Dallas had 195 total yards. Dallas had 14 first downs in the game, but 6 in the last garbage drive in which they scored to make it a little bit closer. 31-10 was the final. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.